second now. It's on the right channel, right? Please tell me it is. There we go, it is. Okay. I'm hoping so. Can't even hear myself, can I? Oh, that's the reason why. Okay, I hope people can hear me. It is. Okay. I might just need to talk a little louder or something. Let's see, get that set up. I know it's very crude. It is. Okay. Second now. I might just need to talk a little louder. It's on the. Can't even hear myself. Yeah. Who messaged me? Oh, that's the reason why. Get that set up. Okay. I know it's very crude. There we go. It is. Okay. Well, I don't know why it's so quiet. I might just need to talk a little louder. It's on the. Can't even hear myself. Yeah, I have no. I wonder if I can get the volume up a little more. That's set up. Okay. I know it's very crude. There we go. It is. Okay. Second now. I might just need to talk a little louder. It's on the. Can't even hear myself. Oh, that's the reason why. Get that set up. Okay. I know it's very crude. There we go. It is. Okay. Second now. I might just need to talk a little louder. It's on the. Okay. I don't want it getting desktop audio. Here, hopefully that turns it off. Sorry, I'm messing with stuff right now. Apologies, folks, if that's annoying. So, there we go. Oh, come on. Will I make this louder? Because it's really quiet on my end of things. Check my sound. I really wish Windows wouldn't make this a pain in the butt to do. It always comes through so quietly on my end of things. So, and I'm trying to make it loud enough for folks. Alright, I'm trying to mess with my settings here. Sound, there we go. Let's check my microphone. Oh, that's really quiet still, even on normal settings. I'm not much of a techie, despite what my family might think. I don't know how to fix that, so that's unfortunate. Okay, I'm going to share the links at other places. Alright, and I will keep my phone nearby to check your guys' questions just in case. Now I need to see if you guys can hear a fan in the background because it's a bit hot in here. So, YouTube. I don't think you guys will be able to hear me. I have that on, unfortunately. So let's not do that. Sorry if my nose is a little stuffy too. I took allergy medicine, but it's not helping clearly. So there we go. Okay. Okay, I got the questions to the side of me here. I only have one screen, so it's not the best for streaming, but I'll do what I have to do. And let's get this show on the road, I guess. So we're drawing page 6 of issue 10. And means what I'm first gonna be doing is doing some tracing. And yeah, I know I don't have all the nice music and whatnot. We're just gonna have to deal with that. Well, everybody's doing streams tonight, I guess. I wish I knew that. I don't want to compete with people. I would like to play some music in the background. It's gonna have to be extremely quiet though. Let's see, playlists. Oh, they really did that, where you don't see your stuff on the side anymore. That's kind of dumb, but at the same time, it's just gonna have to work. Okay, I hope people can hear me over the sound of the EU4 music. They probably won't be able to. So I'm going to try to listen to my stream while it's happening. Okay. Oh, you have someone watching. Well, hello there. Can you hear me over the sound of the music? That's the question I'm mostly concerned about. If you can, that's great. If you can't, I'll just turn it off. Because I kind of want to be able to talk to people and kind of, you know. Line it just right. Yeah, I don't scan my stuff. I know I'm really working on like a shoestring budget here. I know. Poor me. It's going to be a bit of a complicated one, to be honest. It might take me a while to draw it. I always cut these things first. Now, first thing I'm going to do is get to the layers. And basically I just trace my own artwork. And yes, it's my own artwork. I don't use AI. Although I have kind of controversial opinions on AI. Don't think it's as bad as everybody says it is. I know it steals artwork, but here's the thing. I mean, technically, we all get our own styles and stuff from each other, and it's a good tool. I think people will change their mind once it becomes a much more useful tool for the artist. I know it's kind of crude, but like if I could get a robot to color in stuff for me and make it look good, I'd like that because number one, I couldn't afford a colorist, and two, I'm always really insecure about my own coloring. I know people tell me it looks good, but I don't think it does for myself. I always think I can improve. That's more what I mean. Not that, oh, my art's bad. Oh, no, please. That's not what I mean. More just, it could be better. It could most certainly be better. Don't mind me if I sing a little bit with the music. Do that. I always do that when I'm drawing with music on. People sending me a bunch of stuff on Discord. There we go. Just telling them go watch my stream if you want to interact with me. I know I'm such a businessman now. Oh, he's a grifter. Grifting. He's grifting. He is utterly grifting. Like you try to do anything, grifting. He's grifting. Major grift out of 10. Would grift again. Okay, I think I'm going to just turn the music off because I can't barely hear it. And I doubt the audience can either. Try to listen to my own stream with that. So we'll just forego it. We will forego it. Oh yeah, I forgot to share it. I forgot to share the stream link on a certain website. So, 1 second. Doing a drawing stream right now. Located entirely in this kitchen. There we go. And yes, I'm doing this on a laptop. I know. I could have a much more professional setting, but I don't. So there you go. It's just what it is. Question is this a Druidic cult club meeting? No, I'm sorry. If you thought that's what it was, you're a little bit early for that. That's later. See if anyone else comes on. No, I don't. We don't actually like real unironic pagans. Those are cringe. Let's not. I don't like them anyway. They could be better. See, I wonder if I could stream this on I wonder if I could stream this on Twitter. Hold on, I'm gonna go check something. Will they allow that? check. How do I do that? Probably have like, you could probably have to do premium or something like that. Oh, I'm not gonna bother with that. Let's just keep it on YouTube. It's free on YouTube, so I like free. Free's nice. Free is a good price. So okay, there's pencils for that part. Gosh, I can't freaking spell. Sorry if I seem drowsy. My allergy medicine's finally kicking in, but it wasn't earlier. Had to go help give my dog some medicine, and I'm gonna take her outside for that. But, oops. Phew! That's a little embarrassing. Yeah, I have really bad seasonal allergies. Now, don't be surprised if I have to get up and leave for that for a second. And I don't know why this is happening because I took a pill for it. I always take an allergy pill for it, but you just never know. By the way, am I too quiet, Sonus? Do I sound too quiet on here? I need to know if you can hear me or not. Because I am trying to respond to people. And I don't know how to make it louder on here. I really don't. So, I'm not much of a tech guy, I'll be honest. So we are streaming in my room today, so that's nice. You can't hear me? Oh wait, no, okay. I think he's saying I'm not too quiet. Okay, that's good. I can't hear I tried to watch I tried to test my stream a little bit earlier and I couldn't hear it well on my computer. That might just be a thing for my computer though, so. Okay, it just reconnected. Let's see. I hope this isn't gonna have internet problems. Sorry, I guess there's a little small disconnection here. I don't know why. Guess I could have done this earlier for a foreground. Weird, my internet's suddenly going really weird right now. Huh. Yeah, that's odd. Okay. These are just random people's heads. Don't mind them. They're all nice and round. Again, sorry, I don't actually have like a cold or anything. I got really bad seasonal allergies. So apologies that that's a little annoying. A little embarrassing for me too. But thank you, Mrs. Sonus, for your kind words. I probably picked a bad night to do a drawing stream because all my other drawing streams I usually like watching from other people are going on right now. But it was my only day to do this. I guess I could have done it on Tuesday, but I wouldn't have had much to stream because I was just doing my colors. Normally, I split them between 2 days for each of these pages. This is me making an effort on camera to try to hurry up with these pages because, to be honest, yeah, I guess I was having some problems earlier. Sorry, Sonus. My internet got disconnected a little bit. Nothing that I did. I don't know why that happened. There might be a storm outside. I don't know. There wasn't forecasted to be one. Just sunny and 60 degrees outside. What was I saying? Oh, yes. This is basically my public effort to try to catch up in front of all of you. Because I'll be honest, I've been having a rough couple weeks. So I've been trying to catch up a little bit on here, and it's very difficult when you don't have the motivation. Very difficult. And drawing's not really easy. I mean, I guess I make it look easy to some people, but it's really not easy, especially trying to make a concerted effort to continue drawing over and over, as I've been doing for more than a year now, actually. So here we go. Just gotta draw his stockings. That's a thin leg. You don't want that. I've messed up. He should not be that close. He's in the back. Okay. Yeah, that happens. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Let's have the table just connect to the actual stage. That way it looks like people are behind it instead. Quick fix for that. Because they really should be behind it. That's a kind of a problem on my end. I kind of wasn't thinking about how the perspective was going to be there when I sketched all this. Yeah, happens. It happens here. Instead of having this like that, I think it could be a little more convincing. There we go. That looks a little more convincing too. That looks a little bit more convincing for a throne, doesn't it? His little cape behind him. Now we're gonna draw his little feet. Starting to talk like Bob Ross for some reason. Oh, there's a third person on. Excellent. Actually getting some people here today. Introduce yourself if you're new here or if you just got on. And ask questions if you can. That way I can answer them while I'm drawing. Because I'll be honest, if I'm just by myself, I don't have a lot to talk about. Mostly because I'm focusing on drawing. It's a bowl. Yes, taking breaks is usually pretty wise for artwork. I would agree with that. However, I took a pretty long break last month, longer than I really should have, and now I'm behind on things. And then all this other stressful stuff in life starts coming up of like just not just politics and everything, but just life in general. They are making some spigot roast. Delicious cow. Love cow. Love eating cows. Well, this is more of a bull, but still, you guys know what I mean. There we go. Yay, I did that part. Okay, now draw the background. Yeah, this page is gonna be a pain in the butt to color. I can already tell. There you go. I can already tell this is gonna be a massive pain in the butt to color. Because of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? Oops. I do wish I had a better setup for all this stuff, but I really don't. And I don't know why my computer makes it so quiet on my end of things, because I can barely hear my own stream and I try it. There you go. Alright. Here's that. Okay. Oops. Looks like we're gonna have to color a little bit outside of the panhole for this one. It's okay. I don't mind doing that. But yeah, it's just. Oh shoot! Why did I do that? Why did I do that? Here, I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna bother doing that. All that stuff. I'm gonna be a little more dynamic, yeah, I guess, but. Sorry for all the sniffing and stuff. Seasonal allergies really got to me before the stream. I was really hoping that wouldn't happen. I wasn't thinking it was going to happen because I was okay an hour ago. What I might do is go get some toilet paper or tissue or something for myself. So I'm gonna stop here, save, just in case anything bad happens. I will go get some tissues or toilet paper or something like that for myself so I can blow my nose and speak more clearly. There we go. That's a little better. Okay, I'm doing this on my bed because it is the most comfortable spot I could think of in the house right now. And got peace and quiet in here. So, just looking at the stream, being a little few seconds or so behind, and it looks like freaking one of Hassan Piker's streams where he just doesn't do anything for the whole time. No, I'm not like that. I'm a man of a little bit more integrity than that. So to go stealing people's content and using the bathroom and crud while doing it. That's lame when he does that. I never understood why anyone likes his content. Really don't. Well, looks like somebody else joined. Hello. Welcome to my stream. If you have any questions or comments, chat in the stuff below. I do like people being a little bit funny every now and then too. Just don't be too edgy, folks. Don't be too edgy. Not because of like YouTube demonetization. I'm not monetized on here. I don't produce content enough for that. I'm just using here to stream. So I can talk to people doing my artwork. There you go. And yes, he has freckles. That was something I kind of had to come up with on my own just to make him a little bit more distinct visually for St. Patrick here. Oh, by the way, for context of what I'm drawing, what's basically happened is St. Patrick gets captured by the High King of Ireland, and they want him to apostatize before an entire crown, and basically make a sacrifice to their god, or they'll kill him. That's what's going on right now. So the High King is watching what he does, and Patrick's not too thrilled about this, obviously. Oh yeah, Sonus, you're the person who's never edgy. I believe it. Not. Sonus, you're the edgiest person on the planet. Actually, that's not true. That's not true. I'm sure there's edgier people. You're the edgiest person with taste. I think that's the difference. Because some people are just tasteless about being edgy. You know, they're just like, haha, I'm being edgy because I'm funny. And it's like, you're edgy to make a point. and I that I can respect in some ways, unless it's a bad point, like most of other people. But there we go. I really like this pose. I don't know why. I just do. I'm cheating a little bit because it's not how I originally drew his head to be so long, but sometimes you mess up on the proportions on this rough draft and you gotta fix it. It's one of the reasons I actually draw or I trace my stuff here. The other reason is for coloring. Hand coloring this would take forever. And my handwriting is also incredibly poor in real life. So, unfortunately, or fortunately, in any way you see it, I think fortunately, because I really like making this digital, but maybe some people would think unfortunately you don't get to see my exact hand drawings. I would say I'm probably a better penciler than I am like coloring and doing inking and stuff. I've always excelled at that. You know, you'll accept it, good. You better accept it. That's the highest praise I can give you. Take it as like your Boy Scout badge or something. I don't know. I remember wanting to be a Boy Scout as a kid, but I'm kind of glad I never did, because with how bad you guys were seeing like my seasonal allergies getting, like frick, I have like a roll of toilet paper now next to me because I couldn't find any tissues. It gets pretty bad, and nature doesn't like me, so maybe. And the only reason I wanted to be a Boy Scout was because my dad was an Eagle Scout, but it was a good thing I probably never chose to go that path, or I would have been suffering so many summers. So that would have been bad. I don't want to know what it would have been like. I already don't do camping really well, mostly because mostly because of my allergies, but also just every time I go camping, something always goes horribly wrong. I think nature hates me. Like one time when I was doing a youth camp retreat from my church, and I got sunburned, and also we went inner tubing, and I was really tired. I was exhausted that whole day because like the day prior or something, we had gone hiking, and my body was really sore. I wasn't used to doing such extensive like walking at the time, so I'm really tired, and suddenly I'm on the inner tube, and I lean all the way forward, and I suddenly submerge under the inner tube and get a face full of like just water and everything, because I wasn't keeping myself up like I was supposed to on the inner tube. So, yeah, that wasn't very comfortable. Albeit that's my fault. But again, I'll get sunburned, I'll get allergies. One time I went camping with my dad and my brother, and we ended up getting like, my dad tried to buy a waterproof and rainproof tent because it was going to be and it suddenly rained during our camping trip. But what ended up happening was it didn't do its job, and so we got a bunch of water on ourselves while we were sleeping. It wasn't very comfortable. So, if anything, it was super unfortunate. not what it looks like on the... Yeah. I'm fortunate my dad was an Eagle Scout, though, when we went camping that time, where we got watered, though, because we were trying to cook, like, marshmallows and stuff over a campfire. My dad managed to keep that thing alive during the rain. Because he had collected some moss when we went on a hike before that, and other things. I don't know what he was doing, but he knew how to keep a campfire alive in the rain. So that thing stayed alive until we ran out of moss. And then once the moss was gone, well, we had no more campfire. But it's okay. We ended up watching Ant-Man in the minivan because well, we wanted to, and we didn't really want to be out in the rain the whole time. Like the whole point of the night was we were expecting it to be a little dry, and we were expecting to eat some marshmallows and cook out and whatnot. Because my dad brought an electric grill, or a portable electric grill, and we were expecting to be eating hot dogs and s'mores and stuff. But because of the rain, we didn't get to cook very long. Our fire starter didn't work well. We had to just start the fire the natural way by rubbing some sticks or some crud. Yeah, the big lie. So, when that happened, we decided, screw it, let's just stay in the warmth of the car. And we watched Ant-Man because we had like we were at the Oregon coast for the camping trip. There's stores everywhere nearby and whatnot. We were fine. And so my dad went to freaking like McDonald's, got to a red box, and got Ant Man on the on like disc and whatnot. My dad hated Ant Man. He thought Ant Man was the lamest character ever when he saw the trailer and crud. And I tried to tell him like, no, Dad, Ant Man's cool. Oh crud! I just drew this on background outlines. Whatever, it's not gonna matter for this panel. Well, I was trying to tell my dad, no, Ant Man's cool. He has like shrinking powers and stuff. And my dad's like, shrinking powers are stupid. Why would you ever want to shrink? Well, then he watches the movie, and he's like, "Oh, I guess I was wrong. That was kind of cool." And so like I managed to convince my dad Ant Man wasn't lame. Of course, nowadays he kind of is lame on the MCU. I mean, here's the thing: I was fully expecting to do Hank Pym and stuff when it came into the comics. So what I was surprised when watching the movie that they did the Scott Lang character instead, the second Ant Man. And some people don't like that we kind of skipped out on Hank Pym, but I'll be honest. I think that was. I mean, he's still the movie, just older and stuff. But I think it was the. Yeah, Ant Man is a bit old now. What did that? When did that? Hold on, I'm gonna go look at that. When did that movie come out? Oh my gosh. 2015. This thing's 9 years old. Frick, man. I didn't realize that came out. I was in high school, dude. No, that wasn't 10 years ago. That's a lie. That's dumb. I refuse to accept this. Well, anyways, I managed to convince my dad Ant Man wasn't very lame. So I'm glad he managed to change his mind on that. What was I saying? Oh yeah, Hank Pym. He has a lot of baggage. A little bit too much. I was surprised they didn't introduce him in the first Avengers, and then also just surprised that. Oh, hello, Wakua. 2015-ish. Yes, it was a long. It was a long time ago. It really was. It really was a long time ago. Now, I don't want to think about that. Heck, I was on the freaking message board. That was the same year freaking Bionicle G2 started coming out and whatnot, that summer and stuff. It was great. I loved G2 Bionicle. I don't care what people say. It was really good. The sets were amazing. The story, I don't care if people didn't like the story. I'm gonna do the hot take here. When Bionicle stuck to more mythological storytelling back in like 2001 to 2003, that was when its lore and like intrigue was best. Yeah, I know that's a humongously hot take, uh, and I know people are not going to agree. I'm fully aware of this. That's how I feel though. The Bionicle story was best when they were like on the island on Montanui, fighting off the evil shadow of Makuta and whatnot. It had that made it distinct. And the moment it went hard, they were slowly adding more sci-fi stuff into it, especially in 2004. That they took a big leap with the sci-fi there. I still really enjoy the story of 2004. Don't get me wrong, and the character writing was fantastic that year, and so was the storyline of it. But unfortunately, I feel like that's when they started going downhill with the story. And yes, I know people are gonna. They're gonna. I'm gonna probably get a lot of hate for that, but I prefer a mythological Bionicle, and so when 2015 did that take again, I was really happy about it. I thought that was when Bionicle was at its best. One of the biggest problems though with 2015 is that I just feel like our characters didn't get enough time to shine and whatnot. Like the whole quest the Toa do and the for like the golden masks and stuff in the original lore, in the original story, like it took a while for them to collect the masks. They had to like work together and stuff to look for them. So that was it. I mean, I know that's technically just a part of the like selling the like extra mask packs in CRUD and buying more sets in CRUD. Just like a marketing gimmick, but they fit into the lore so well. So it's really weird in 2015 where it's like, oh well, I just found the golden mask. It's here on this pedestal here. Oh no, skull spiders. I hope they don't attach to my face. See, I'm complaining about G2 now. I'm supposed to be talking about how much I like it. Sorry. It had its problems. It really did have some problems. The biggest part where they dropped the ball was the advertising because nobody freaking knew that there was a Bionicle G2. All my friends only figured it out like back out. All the friends of mine who actually cared about it only figured it out like after it was already gone. Yes, I highly agree, Sonas. I know the stream's a little behind on this. Mostly because just YouTube and crud, but yes, everything post 2004, the original theming starts just going away. Now, okay, I will defend 2006 because that was the year I felt they got back to some of the more mythological elements of it. Yeah, the Paraka were gangsters, but like the stuff with the Mask of Life, it felt like they were they felt like they were knights looking for the Holy Grail. That was really, I felt like that was a cool way of doing the story. At least that's how I view the Anika. They literally have the glowy swords and stuff. They literally have the glowy swords and stuff, and like they're knights. They're absolutely knights looking for the Holy Grail. Their armor looked like knight armor and whatnot to me. They're looking for the Holy Grail. That's what the Mask of Life was. It was to revive Matanui, who was dying. Didn't give G2 a fair shot. I was a G1 snob for a while. Yeah. See, I remember all that. Yes, I highly agree. G2's art direction and set design was its best aspect. I really liked the aesthetic they did for just the whole theme. It was beautiful. I really liked the skull enemies. The story was admittedly weak, yes. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the Anika. I always felt like their story was like looking for the Holy Grail and like Arthurian legend, and so And then you have these like titans, and even Axon and Brutaka look like giant knights to me. Like they were clearly going for a knight aesthetic for some reason with the Anika. Like at least that's how it came out. That's how it came across to me. So, sorry, I need to blow my nose again. Seasonal allergies, they're killer. There we go. Thankfully, I have a garbage can in my room. The Titan certainly felt like a aspect of the myth was coming back too. I particularly like the character of Axon. He has a very chivalric attitude about everything. Where like my favorite quote of him is when Brutaka's like, "Don't you understand? You're fighting for a lost cause," and Axon's like, "Those are the only ones worth fighting for, Brutaka." Just 10 out of 10 dialogue by Greg Farshy there. 10 out of 10. That's one of my favorite freaking quotes in all of fiction. It's just so cool. I feel like that was the last year I was really into like the whole gimmick they were doing. Because another hot take here. Yes, I agree, Sonus. Your Axon has one of the best lines in the entire story. I just repeated that, but I know the steam's behind. Don't worry. I think and this is gonna be controversial. I wasn't the biggest fan of 2007. I liked the sets. The Baraki were cool as a kid because they were creepy, and it was getting that around that age, and like I was like 8 years old. I was starting to like ooh creepy things and whatnot. Yeah, and so it really fit that mentality for me. But at the same time, uh, the Toa Mari themselves, save like I feel like there's only 3 sets that were actually good for the Toa Mari. That was Jala, Hali, and Watoro. The other 3 for Kongu, Huki, and I'm forgetting his name, Nuparu. Those were very weak. I didn't really like them much. They were kind of boring to build. I Kongu was my favorite character in Bionicle at the time as a kid during that time because I liked the green characters. Wow, my current characters in drawing like that stuff's green too. But you probably see where it comes from. Green was like the Toe of Air were my favorites as a kid, and so like I was really excited to see what Kongu was gonna be like for the Toa Mari. And then he comes out, he's like this really super wide dude, and he has 2 guns, and it's like I'm thinking that's not Kongu. Kongu and like Manog was like the guy who was riding that little like bird thing, and he's swift and he's agile. He's not a freaking Soviet tank as a person. So I was a bit disappointed with 2007 in terms of Kongu. And I never that was during the time. I think the Great Recession was the year after, but we already weren't able to afford like a lot of the Titans. That's why we were because there was so many that year. There was no way we were going to get them all, and we also were trying to get a bunch of other wave sets too. So that was one of those years where I really didn't get a lot. We got all the like Baraki and the Toa, but we didn't get really any Titan sets that year, unfortunately. And I feel like the story and the Titan sets are the real reason people really liked that year, because story wise, the stuff of Motoro and his death, and also just the hunt for the Mask of Life that way and everything, that stuff's really good. I'm not going to deny that. The story is absolutely fantastic. The underwater, like the way they make it. Usually when you see underwater in like fiction, it's all like colorful and nice and everything, and I understand that. But I like how they turned it into basically the freaking deep abyss. It's creepy. It's wonderful. It's a great setting for the bad guys and whatnot. Make it really feel dangerous. But I personally think the Toa sets were really weak. In my opinion, the Baraki sets were really weak too. I remember getting Takadox and thinking he wasn't very impressive. I think the build. I thought the build was cool as a kid with like how he was basically a giant like spine with things connected to it. But my issue was he wasn't very. I didn't find him very fun to play with. And that was the year. Like the launchers were already a thing. Don't get me wrong. They always had launchers in Bionicle, but like the squid launchers, I thought that was incredibly lame. And then you also had the problem with the freaking Mari's blasters, which didn't work well either. They were just like they worked only when they wanted to. You either had to press really hard on it, or it just sometimes it just wouldn't work at all, and it sucks to be you. Not my favorite year. I understand why everybody likes it, but myself growing up, I really thought it was a I thought it was a downgrade. The story did kind of peak in '07, but only because I feel like that was one of their intended parts of the climax. Um, Also, that's when, if I remember correctly, wasn't that when Farshi started doing more of the Ask Greg stuff with the lore? I think that's when he started doing Ask Greg or something. I remember going on Bionicle's story back then as a kid, asking him some questions. Yeah, you bend it by a freaking degree, it won't launch. Yes, that's the problem. That's why I hate those freaking things. They weren't fun. And you know what's the sick part? Kongu has two of those. He has two of them. So guess what? I'm playing with my freaking Kongu as a kid. Those things ain't launching when I'm trying to fight the Baraki because my brother would play the bad guys. Those things ain't launching at him. Kongu's defenseless. Yes, he has a Mask of Summoning. Too bad I don't have a bunch of Rahi sets for underwater on hand. It just, as a toy, it wasn't very great. At least in my opinion. I definitely felt like the decline, the like biggest part of the decline though was definitely in '07. Or sorry, not '07. 2008. I was excited because it was like, oh, this must be the last year of Bionicle. It's going to be the end. And I was really excited for that because, well, I thought the story was finally going to come to a close, and I thought it was going to be a super happy ending. And then Makuta ends up winning, and that was the worst day of my childhood. No, it wasn't actually the worst day of my childhood. I'm kidding. But as a kid, I was devastated because I had never seen the bad guy win before in a story ever. My brother Kyle was like laughing. He was like, "Yes, Makuta won," because he was rooting for Makuta. He was rooting for the bad guys the whole time. He's like, "Yes, Makuta won," and as a kid, I'm like, "Makuta can't win. That's impossible. This has to be a fluke or something." and but no, he won momentarily. And honestly, that was probably their best story decision, but also their worst at the same time. Because on one hand, I can't imagine Bionicle without that twist anymore of Makuta winning in 2008. That was just so impressionable and made such a big impact on me with the whole story. But then we got 2009. And that's when 2009, and the recession had happened, so I already wasn't getting a lot of Bionicle sets at that time. And then, man, I was not impressed by the Glatorians at all. I was confused. It's like, what? Why are we focusing on this weirdos? It felt like they were trying to reboot Bionicle at the time. Like, that's what I remember people speculating or something. And I was just, as a kid, I was so confused. It's like, who the freaking heck is Gresh? Who the freaking heck is Akar? Who are all these weirdos? What the heck is a Gory? What's going on? Why do I have to fear the Stinger Tail? What's going on? Okay, I'm gonna see some of you guys' commentary on stuff. Yes. I never had Maxilos as a set. So I wouldn't know. From what I understand, you're right. He was probably one of the better Titan sets, or one of the best, but never got him. I don't think I got any of the. I don't believe I got any of the '07 Titan sets. You see, because unlike Exxon Brutaka, Mizon, and Fenrak, who were in my those guys were essential to the story in 2006. You couldn't deny it. When me and my brother were reading the stories at the time and like the comics and stuff, we never got the impression that Maxilos, Hydraxon, and the other like Titan sets that year, they weren't really. We didn't feel like they were very crucial. It was like something else was going on at the same time, and so we just really we determined it was better just to spend our money getting all the Toa and the Baraki, who were the main bad guys, instead of Maxilos and Hydraxon and Crud, which is a shame. It's one of my biggest regrets missing out on Hydraxon and Maxilos. But they were also really expensive back then. They were like, I know $50 doesn't sound like a lot nowadays, but back then I think those sets were like $50 to $60. Yeah, they or something like that, or I think it might have been 40 instead. I know a standard Titan was about $20, but then Maxilos was just massive. I don't remember the price. I just remember he was out of my price range as a kid, and so we never got them. Yeah. Okay. That's the line work here done. I'll have to start on the colors in a bit. I might go get some water or something, but yeah, it could have been a better year. I kind of wish they. I didn't always agree with all the story decisions they made in 2007. I personally, the Mask of Life going into the water itself. It was. Don't worry. It was still a good idea. Don't get me wrong. I like the whole underwater theme, but in retrospect, I feel like the story kind of ended with the Toa fighting like Vizon and Fenrak. Because ultimately, what did the Baraki accomplish? Like they were trying to vie for the Mask of Life, sure, and Matoro dies. But I don't really feel like they did a lot. It was kind of just stretching out the story a little bit more, in my opinion. And, and I guess that's one of the reasons I don't understand why people like '07 so much. I think Matoro's death, and then like all the Hydraxon lore, whatever, with Dakar and all the serials, that stuff I really think gave people a really big impression of like, yeah, the quality's really going up there. But besides Matoro's death, I didn't really feel like there was a lot going on that year. Unlike 2006, where you have like the first part of it is the Paraka literally enslaving an entire island. There's a Matoran resistance, and then later the Toa and Nika show up, fight them off, and then Axon and Brutaka are doing some stuff, and then you have Vizon and Fenrak's whole backstory and how he's like forced to guard the Mask of Life. There's a lot going on in 2006, but they're all intertwined because eventually the Toa do have to face Brutaka. They do have to face the Baraka. They do have to face Vizon and Fenrak to get past their goals. Like I said, it's like an Arthurian myth. They have to get past these really large characters just to get to the final Holy Grail. But then you have 2007, and yeah, the Baraki are trying to get the Mask of Life, and everyone's fighting over it and whatnot. But ultimately, everything feels a little more disconnected to me. And then you have Gadunka and Karzani for some freaking reason. I mean, Gadunka, okay. I'm not gonna hate on Gadunka. Gadunka's great. He's a meme. He's funny. But putting Karzani in there for some reason, I still don't understand why he was down there. I really don't. Okay. I might go get something to drink real quick. Leave your comments while I'm doing that, and I will get back to them. Okay. I see that comment. Made me laugh as I was getting some water because I took my phone with me to see the messages. The best thing about '07 Karzani is how much money I'll make on him if I ever find him in a Facebook parking or Facebook part lot. Yeah. My brother really wanted that set when he was younger, but we could never find it in Walmart. I don't know how rare it was, but I never saw it myself. So I couldn't. I really could not afford to do that for you, though. I'm kind of wondering if that Karzani set even actually existed. I think people just painted all the Vukama Hordika heads in the blue Ruru or whatever. Not real. Everybody fever dreamed it. Everybody who claims to have one painted those pieces. It's just how it is. No, I'm kidding. I'm gonna steal some colors from this page because I don't usually keep color palette documents on me. It's a Toys R Us exclusive, I believe. Lezovic was a Walmart one. I remember seeing Lezovic and really wanting it as a kid because I was like, ooh, Green Toe. I love Green Toas. But then I read his actual story serials as a kid, and I was like, what the heck, man? Yeah, he's a sad character. I don't know what's wrong with him. Why is he? That's another thing I'm saying about '07 though. Good little like side story there with Lezovic and all the characters, but what did it do to tie into the ultimate overall plot? And yes, this is gonna. Some people I know have their own like ideas of, well, characterization comes before plot. Some people write stories that way. I don't agree. I like a good plot, a story. If the plot's not very compelling, I kind of lose interest pretty quickly in a story. And I'm the guy who likes the generic hero saves the princess story. Soaking bright egg feet in food coloring. Oh man, I think some of mine yellowed after a while. I don't know how that happened, but they're yellowed. I don't want to know how people would soak the pride egg feet in food coloring. That doesn't sound very good. But yeah, I just a lot of those characters I felt were really disconnected from all each other. I think thing is most of the Bionicle years before 2007, all the characters would usually have a role in the story. Usually, the Rahi, the Toa had to fight them because Makuta was infecting them in 2001. Then you had the Borak and the Borak hunters and whatnot. Usually the sets, soft boil. No, usually the sets would co-align with the story itself. I feel like that stopped being so connected in 2007, and that's probably why I don't like it nearly as much because, and I wasn't really enticed to go get some of the sets that year, because it's like, well, this is a cool Titan, but if the main concern of the story is the Toa fighting the Baraki and having a bit of a war over it and like a tug of war and everything, why do I care about Hydraxon or Dakar becoming Hydraxon and Crud? Like, sure, it gets the Mask of Life for a while and stuff, but like, why do I have to care about Lezovic? Why is Makuta there taking over as Maxilos? What is he doing? Doesn't do a lot. So like, really let the green settle in. Ugh. Okay, now I'm getting a little grossed out by that. I couldn't imagine. I'm just imagining how someone like getting some boiling water and dipping the Bionicle white pieces, in the green, like boiling green food coloring. That does not sound very good. That's a good way to ruin your Bionicles, folks. Oops, I'm calling. It's an extremely good way to ruin your Bionicles. So thank you, Wakua, for helping us. I think that's how you pronounce your username. Um, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I think 2004 is the biggest example of how like all the sets ended up like leading into the story. Besides like the Kikanalo, it was kind of they kind of had to make that up. But for example, you had like Han. He was an important character because that's where the Toa get their powers from, and he becomes a Turaga and crud. And no, I'm not going to talk about Gold Good Guy. I thought that was a stupid decision back then to make him Turaga Lacan. I still do. People were saying the Bionicle fan base. Oh, please don't do that, Wakua. Please don't boil your Bionicles. I don't do it. The Bricklink prices are going too high. Please don't do it. No, that's one thing though I didn't really like about Bionicle community back in 2000, even before 2015. Like people were pestering Greg about all these pointless questions. Heck, I even did it as a kid. The only question I really asked Greg after G1 died, I asked him like, I was remembering in Minog, and I was like, how is pie canon? Like, how do they make pie? Do they have this milk cannon in Bionicle? And obviously, he didn't take my question like very seriously at all, and kind of ignored it. Which right call there, Greg Farshi, because I was just being stupid. Oh, okay, I was being really dumb about it, but still, there was a lot of people asking the most dumbest questions, and then you had the whole, Taraga Lake Khan is Gold Good Guy. That was a headcanon for many years, and that's what it should have stayed as. It really should have stayed as a headcanon and nothing more. And so people passed it him, and he's like, "Fine, it's Gold Good Guy or whatever." And now you have this freaking cheap like battery pack set where freaking Turaga Lakan is. Like, and people were years ago were getting mad about the Hellworks contest, and it's like people were doing stupid stuff with Bionicle beforehand with the lore and everything. And no, I don't mean to make accusations to people. When it's just, I personally did not like, do not like it when people try to add on the Bionicle lore. Especially as someone who actually enjoys seeing people's mocks and their interpretations of characters. Before the Hellworks contest, I really enjoyed. Like there was a few mocks on the message board, TTV message boards. I really liked that. I had the headcanon. Yeah, that's what Hellworks looks like to me. But now it's not canon anymore, and you have like only an actual specific version. Yeah, there was a lot of vitriol, and then people are surprised when there's a lot of vitriol. Uh, People get surprised when there's a lot of vitriol during the actual freaking canon contests and like other things too. That's one of the reasons I kind of grew to despise the Bionicle community, to be honest, during that time. When I was moderating TTV, at first I was like, heck yeah, I get to moderate a Bionicle forum, but then afterwards, just. There was so much negativity going on with people. So much. It literally made me super depressed. Like, because I was excited for G2 to come around, and then I genuinely think that it was a lot of the ungratefulness, like vocal ungratefulness of the fans, that helped killed G2. Now, it wasn't only that. I'm not going to say that. LEGO could have done better with their marketing. I felt like they kind of didn't put a lot of effort into it. But I really don't think fans were very grateful at the time. At all. Because they had their vision of what Bionicle coming back should have been like. They weren't going to take it the way they gave it to us. And I'll be honest, I think that helped kill interest in the line for LEGO itself, and then they didn't put a lot of effort into advertising it. I remember the first year, 2015, there was actually advertisement, but afterwards, no, they didn't even give it much of a darn. They even made a Bionicle TV show on Netflix. That was something I had dreamed about for years, and no, it's just... And hey, I'm guilty of that, too. I made fun of Journey to One back then. I made memes about how it was terrible. But, so I'm to blame on this, too. Don't get me wrong. And that's why I know it was so bad. I feel it stemmed from the sheer privilege we had for G1, and then we had so many hands on the cannon wheel and took it for granted back then. Yeah, there was a lot of hands on the cannon wheel, and a lot of people got to input it as fans. And I think that was a big mistake. To, like... I don't know. I don't know if I would call it privileged, more so like... I guess there was a sense of entitlement more on some people's parts. Like, how dare you make Bionicle different than how I wanted it? And mind you, these are all these people who got Bionicle back. They were like originally like what, in their 20s or high schoolers. I understand we were all a little immature about it, but at the same time, like it's a children's freaking toy line. It's a children's toy line ultimately, and we got so upset over it. People literally gave death threats to each other. I got death threats when I was moderating. There's a few people saying they wanted to kill me and stuff in my DMs. Wasn't very nice. All because of the stupid freaking Bionicle toys. So in a way, when G2 finally had died, I was both like shocked and then disappointed, but I was also a little relieved, and I was thinking, okay, I really hope the Bionicle community gets better after this, but then you have the canon contest, and then it's like, nobody freaking learned their lesson. People just were toxic about it the whole time, and they all treated it like a joke again. That's why I was telling myself, like, hey, I just really don't want to. It, yeah, that isn't. Yeah, it is such a low bar for someone to kill somebody for. Believe me, it was probably just edgy teenagers trying to threaten to kill somebody. You know, it's still idiotic though. It also doesn't help. I was a moderator and I was an easy target. I at that young age, I could have been a lot more mature than I should have been on a lot of things. I kind of sometimes I would let the power get to my head, and I would ban people just because they were. I thought they were being rude and stuff like that. So I mean, part of it's my fault, but at the same time, some people were just so utterly awful. And that's why I not only ended moderating after like too many people were just harassing me and whatnot, but also just I just realized I don't like Bionicle anymore. If this I didn't like the community around Bionicle, and in my originally people were like, "Oh, you just had some bad experiences," and then I see how the freaking canon contest go, and I'm like, "No, I think there's just something genuinely wrong with this community." So that's that. Unfortunately, it wasn't my best time of my life, but we're all just children, most of us. It's the reason I don't really go on the boards much anymore. Just don't really. Uh, there are some sour memories, but the thing is, I like connecting to any of the remaining community members. That's my thing. There are still a few people on there I really like you, Likua. So that's one of the reasons I keep coming back, even though like sometimes it feels like things just get kind of toxic. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, going back to the freaking topic of Gen 2, because I got so far removed from that, though. I think my biggest problem, like, without in the community stuff, my biggest problem is just I feel like I actually, I think a lot of people criticize the first year more, but I actually really enjoyed the, like, skull villains and everything. I thought that was really refreshing. Yeah. Um, because again, as I was saying, it's an Arthurian myth. They go into a lost city, and well, sorry, 2006 is an Arthurian myth, but in a way, G2's first year was also kind of like an Arthurian myth because Ikimu exemplifies the king under the mountain trope, or not exemplifies, but he falls under that trope. He's the once and future king that they came to awaken. I thought that's a cool angle that they did for Bionicle, and man, people didn't appreciate it. It actually felt like a myth again. I thought that was awesome. And then you had the undead rising and everything. They clearly took a more fantasy route, but I think that was a good choice. That was probably the best choice they made the entire time. So, yes, Goofy Gorsh. Gorsh. Um, I think my only qualm about, uh, or not my only qualm, I have a lot of qualms about G2's story. I think my biggest problems came around the 2016. They clearly were putting a lot less effort into the story because I don't think the fan response. I genuinely think fan response had something to do with it because people did not like 2015, and I think Lego didn't see good sales for the G2 reboot either because people were complaining about it, and I think some people just were like, "Oh well, I don't like it, so I'm just not going to support it." And so I like because everyone was thinking they had 3 years planned. I never ever saw proper I never saw a proper confirmation of that. By the way, so I think some people are making that up. Still kick myself for bypassing G2, but alas, I was a young buck with a stubborn head. I mean, back then I was just happy to have more Bionicle. Now, not on the moderating side of things, I was actually really enjoying G2. I the sets were great. I personally think they were the 2015 Toa are some of the best Bionicle sets ever. And I'm not kidding about that either. They had everything right. I don't care about the stupid like, oh, the blue pins and the open sockets and crud. Everyone was nitpicking. It's sure doesn't look that great, but it's such a non-issue ultimately because it didn't really affect the way the characters were played with. Like, you had both the gear function and the flexible functionality. It was the best of both worlds, and they looked really good. And yes, I know it wasn't Technic. It was technically CCBS, but it wasn't everybody's cup of tea back then. But I was really impressed by the sets back then, and it was just a blast to build them. All the Toa had super unique builds. I wasn't used to in normal Bionicle sets and crud. I feel the same way about the Toa Uniters. They had really good Technic builds. Or not Technic builds, but they incorporated a little bit more Technic into it for people like me who like that. And my brother. I was really appreciative of that back then. They were good sets. What they dropped the ball on, I think, was the second year's villain sets. Particularly just the second wave. They completely just gave up on them. Unfortunately. And the thing is, I actually really liked the Skull villains. I thought they were good. You hadn't really seen the undead before in Bionicle. I thought it was a good choice. Made sense for bad guys. Now, obviously, Bionicle's known for having really good villains that are well written. Easy to forget that the final piece in a Lego set is imagination. That's what makes the blue pins and open sockets disappear. Precisely. I didn't even freaking notice them or get bothered by them for so many years. And so you see people like on TTV, like LJ reviewing, saying, oh no, this is a problem. And it's like, is it really a problem though? Because it doesn't really bother me ultimately. Maybe like to some people it sticks out, but it never really got in the way of the functionality and play factor of the toys. Boxer's probably still my favorite set ever. That is a good set. I never had it though, but I kind of wish I did. One of my problems was that what was I gonna say? Oh, yeah, one of my problems was that, and this is a big problem I have with a lot, even like mocking communities. And yeah, okay, I'm gonna get a bunch of flack for this probably because it's what most of Bionicle fans are nowadays, are mocking communities. But I really don't like when people don't treat Bionicle like toys. They're just like, oh well, this Bionicle set should look like a freaking masterpiece action figure and crowd. And this bothers me so freaking much, man. They want like freaking masterpiece, like freaking Transformers quality masterpiece crowd all the time. At least that's how it feels like. Or people will. Well, I've seen people on the message boards and other websites down talk my brother's mocks because my brother focuses on functionality and play factor first with his sets, trying to actually make them look like a Bionicle character from like official sets. That's how my brother's always built, and they're always telling him like, oh well, texture, blah blah blah. It needs to look more detailed, blah blah blah. And it's like, and I get people are trying to approach it from an artistic sense, but I think they're missing the fact that they're still toys. And that's what always bothered me and my brother about our mocks was we tried so hard most of the time to make them look like the toys. That's what we liked as a kid. was the aesthetic of the sets and whatnot. And so it just feels awful when someone tells you, no, you need to take a more artistic approach and whatnot. I don't think they understood what my brother was doing half the time. And no, I'm not trying to make that sound like a prima donna or whatever. Like, oh, woe is us that never got the proper attention and deserved and whatnot. No, I think that's been an overlying problem in the Bionicle community for years, is people just forgetting that these are children's toys. And there's nothing to be ashamed of it. I feel like people try to be like, no, I gotta treat it like it's an adult thing. Like, as if, and then they get after people saying, well, you can't be treating it like a toy, when in reality, they're treating it like a toy too, by trying to make it super serious and everything like that. When in reality, it is a toy, and you shouldn't be ashamed of it because you like it. I appreciate both styles, but the more technical styles languish in the community over time, but that's okay. I understand people liking the technical style. Don't get me wrong. I think it makes really unique and good mocks. I don't hate people trying to treat mocking as like an art form. I don't. What I don't like is when people will only view mocking in that sort of way. That's when it starts to grind my gears a little bit, because it's like, not everyone wants to make a sculpture out of their Bionicle pieces. You know? Not everyone wants to do that. I think there was only one person who ever like praised my brother for his mocks without like mentioning the whole like, oh, you gotta make it more sculpturally and whatnot. There was a user on Custom Bionicle Wiki named Bob the Doctor, 27, I think. Yeah, he used to go by Matoro1 on the Brick, on some other websites, I think. He always was. I would post my brother Kyle's mocks because he was kind of shy about going on those websites and whatnot, and he would always talk about how lovely my brother's like Anika builds were, because my brother built a lot with Anika builds. That's what he was really good at, and they would always put my brother down for his Anika builds. But this guy would go and appreciate my brother's Anika builds, and it always made him feel better. That's why I'm kind of an Anika build defender. You know, the Anika build is not bad. I'm tired of pretending it is. Everyone says, oh, this is bad, it's trash. Nah, it's not bad. It's only bad when you have like a freaking Cronky Wonky or whatever, where it's just like pieces that don't go together and whatnot. And yes, I know they all look very samey and whatnot, but so do when people don't say this kind of stuff about like Metru builds. They don't say that stuff when somebody intentionally does a Mata build. For some reason, it's the Anika build that gets all the hate because it was overused for many years in the sets. I don't think that's very fair, because some people really like building that way, including myself. All right, I'll get off the soapbox on that. You guys have had enough soapbox with Collin. Oh shoot! Did I? Oh no! I did a lot of this as background layer. Shoot. Okay. Did not intend to do that. Yeah, I'll get off the soapbox now. You guys don't need to hear all that. Gosh, I feel like I've been ranting about Bionicle for an hour. I haven't even got to answer any questions from people. I'm sorry. If anyone has any questions, go ahead and shoot them at me. Functionally, I prefer an Ica build. I just like the Metru Mata visually more. I respect that. They do have a very unique look to them. I think I kind of like the Matas more just because the blockiness makes it look more like a traditional robot, and I kind of like that. I kind of like that look to my robot toys. You know, Transformers G1 does it well. Just because you know that's the classic robot. I like that. I like the classic robot look and everything. It's good stuff. Oh shoot! I forgot to color something over here. Once again I can respect it. The cow is only sleeping. Yes, it's completely sleeping. I think yeah, I prefer Nika built or Mata bodies more visually, or more visually. But functionally, I always like the Metro a little more. Although one thing I never see people really talk about is like their arms. Yeah, the Mata have strong pots and pans energy. It's great. It looks like like Pohatu just found something to like just go on his foot and whatnot. And Tahu just is like, "Hey, I'm picking up a freaking flaming sword for some reason," and Gally's like, "I found these hooks somewhere. I'm gonna use those." And then Leiwa's like, "Hey, I found this axe." Did I pronounce Leiwa wrong? Whatever. I always pronounce it Leiwa. I don't care what people say. Just Leiwa gets his like finds his freaking axe in the wood, and then how do you call around the fingers so smoothly? It's fascinating. I probably don't. Up close, they're probably not so great, but I've also had a lot of practice on this. I've been drawing this comic for like a year now. Originally it was a little bit rough, but what I mostly do is I'll use the fill tool for a lot of things. And yeah, people told me not to use the fill tool, but look, I'm not doing this. I'm not getting paid for this stuff so far. Well, I get like a few patrons money every now and then, but other than that, I don't really get paid much to like do the whole like, oh, I gotta like color it in like the whole thing like this the whole time. I don't have time for that. And my Wacom like thingy here is not looking, so it's had better days. So I'd rather use the fill tool where I can, especially when I'm doing a cartoony style. If I was actually painting, it would be different. But I'm not painting right now, so I don't give a rip. Yeah, it's not the answer you're probably looking for. That's the big thing about drawing art. I'm sure you know this with mocking too. You're really critical of your own skill all the time. Oh great, freaking heck! I drew that all in background colors again. Here's some of that. Why did I do that? Wait, no, I didn't. Yeah. Oh wait, yes, I did. I drew that all in background color. I'm not paying attention. I need to pay attention. I hate myself. No, a lot of. Make sure I change the character colors this time, Colin. A lot of it's just I use a lot of the fill tool half the time, and no, I don't use a mouse. I have a Wacom pad. It's not like one of those ones with a screen. I have to like coordinate it with my eyes and my actual computer screen because I'm poor, but I use an actual pen to do this. I used to draw all my digital artwork with mouse, and it would cause so much aching with my hands, and I was like, yeah, that's not a good idea. So this is more comfortable for me. I always draw by hand anyways when I'm doing like the actual like underlayer here where here let me show you guys. I often trace my own artwork just so you guys know I'm not copying somebody else. I hand drew it. I hand drew it on this pad here. I hand draw them all. This is the page you're looking at. I take a picture because I don't have a scanner. And then I trace over it. I end up tracing over it my own artwork and then color over it. That's usually what I do. Yeah, it does translate the skill more efficiently because I'm more trained. I'm more trained with paper. Oh crap! Here's a fresh problem for you. Is this background layers? No, something is though. Oh, that's right. I think I drew that underneath there. Oh, I must have drawn that earlier. Oops. Oh, whatever. I'll just do this. Can look nice. Yeah, it translates my. I always draw by hand with like a pencil most of the time, so it translates a little bit better this way. Much more comfortable for me. Much more comfortable. As for my colors, I'll always steal something from another page of mine as a reference because I don't have like sheets where I just color it on the sides and whatnot. Probably not the best idea, but I'm an amateur. So there you go. I'm glad people were able to come to one of these for come to this drawing stream. By the way, I appreciate everybody doing that. Thank you. Oh crap, man, I hate myself for some of this. I need to stop mixing my layers up. It's a bad habit of mine. I need to really work on that. As for hands themselves, hands aren't easy to draw in general. I used to struggle with them a lot as a kid. I just practice them a lot, like a lot nowadays. And even then, I get like awkward hands like this and whatnot that I'm not gonna kind of probably bother fixing. Oh, I drew half of this in the wrong layer. Ugh! I hate myself so freaking much. Okay. Okay, that's just stupid. Okay. Okay, buddy. I hate myself. You know what? When the final thing's done, no one, no, don't. Hey guys, don't tell anyone. Okay, don't tell anyone that I messed up on that. No one's gonna notice the final product. Because, you know, it doesn't really matter in the end because it's all going to look like one flat image anyway. So. I drew a decent one by accident and could never replicate it. See, for me, it's just practice. Every time I have people ask me how do I get to draw better, this is the most stereotypical answer I know, and it's frustrating to people, but you really just gotta practice. And it takes a while. People don't like hearing that answer, especially when nowadays like people are like, oh, I could just have AI art draw things for me. But here's the thing. I learned how to draw over my drawing used to really suck. I'm sure you guys back in like early 2017 saw my artwork back then on TTV. Yeah, mom's the word. And it wasn't always very good. But I've gotten a lot better. And it's just because I practice. I draw usually whenever I have paper. And yeah, it's not always. I know some people don't like that answer because it's like, oh well, don't you have any other techniques in crowd? And I'm just saying like, people need to learn how to draw in their own style. You're not gonna learn it. You're not gonna get better if you don't know how to learn your own style. You need to have a style. Trying to learn how to draw like somebody else, I never encourage people to do that. I think that's a bad idea half the time. You can take inspiration from artists, but you shouldn't try to draw like them. Ultimately, you need to figure out how you draw. Now, yes, there is technical expertise part of it, don't get me wrong. That's a better color. There is technical expertise involved in it, don't get me wrong on that. But at the same time, some people just want to get instantly. I've noticed some people want to get instantly better, and that's just not realistic. Specifically getting the forgery, that's my goal. Well, go ahead then if you want to do that. Sure. Accomplished forgers still take a while to get good at their work, though. So, actually, a lot of people who get into art forgery, from what I understand, are actually artists themselves. And that's how they learn how to replicate it. So even if you want to get into art forgery, you still need to know how to draw, and probably draw really well on your own. So, sorry if that's disappointing and not the answer you're looking for. And I know you're kidding, but I just saying as a joke. Oh, yeah, that's a background color too. Did I draw all those things in the freaking background? I did. Okay. That's a. Why do I do this to myself? Why do I do it? Why do I do it? I mean, when it comes to like drawing, I'm sure it's a similar thing with mocking too, where people will develop their own like building styles for Lego. It's a very similar thing. Like, not everyone builds the same way. Not everyone's going to draw the same way. I've had some people compare my stuff to looking like Bruce Timm's Batman artwork, only because that was a big influence on how I wanted to draw my characters. But, and admittedly, for a while I was trying to copy Bruce Timm a lot as a kid, but then I realized I couldn't draw like him, and so I just decided I'm gonna draw I'm gonna draw Batman and other characters the way I would draw them, but in a vaguely and show my influence. I also got inspired from my Spectacular Spider-Man and the Spider-Man animated series. I might have to rethink this instant gratification scheme. Yeah, that doesn't tend to go well. Yeah, Batman the animated series, Spider-Man the animated series, and also just Steve Ditko's Spider-Man comics he drew for Stan Lee. They were big inspirations on me. That's why I have a bit of a blocky style, was because of Steve Ditko. He was a huge influence on me wanting to make comic book art as a kid. Because when I was a kid, I was really into the Spider-Man films that were coming out, the Sam Raimi films. And I wanted to read Spider-Man comic books because I knew he was from comic books. And so my dad got me some Spider-Man comics as a kid. He bought as they were resold. They were reprinted Ditko Spider-Man comics. And so I tried to read them, but I didn't know how to read well, and I was struggling with reading in school. And so, ironically, comic books actually helped me learn how to read. That's the big irony of it all. Because I started associating the words with the pictures a lot more, and I really, really wanted to read a comic book for Spider-Man in it. So I started learning how to read by going over all the words in the wordy Ditko Spider-Man comics. And that's how I learned how to read. And I got better at reading in school. And then I would always kind of laugh to myself a little bit in school when they'd be like, "Oh, you shouldn't be reading comic books. Those don't help people's literacy." And it's like, my literacy was built on comic books, buddy. I wouldn't even be where I was without comic books being my source of literacy as a kid. Okay, steal your colors. Oh, that is that. Okay, I need to do that in the right layer or it's going to start looking really weird texturally. So, yeah, so Steve Ditko was a pretty big inspiration for my artwork, I would say. Probably one of the biggest influences, actually. He does look sinister. If you read the last issue, he kind of ruined Danu's life. This is Lurku. What got color? There we go. I gotta make sure that doesn't get colored into the panels and stuff. Yeah, this is Lurku. He's a one of the old high. He's a high druid. He kind of ruined Danu's life. He's kind of an awful human being. He's kind of horrible in general. Um, I based him off of a real life person. So in this whole like issue is based off of a, or this part of the issue is based off of a story that appears in Merku of Leinster's Chronicle of Saint Patrick, or rather his hagiography of Saint Patrick. Um, it's likely mostly legends, but I thought it was. Emerald Man, I'm approaching Celtic stuff solely from a legendary angle, so I was like, I'm gonna approach the story of Saint Patrick from the legends instead of his actual autobiography he wrote, because Saint Patrick did write an autobiography on his life. And this was one of the characters that appeared in Lurku of Leinster's, or yeah, Merku of Leinster's stories. I technically changed the name a little bit just for it to be easier for me to remember, but in the story he's called Lokru, and he was one of the greatest magicians in the court of High King Logair Macnail. Logair Macneil, or however you pronounce it. I probably butcher Irish names more than most people do, even though I'm writing a comic based off of Irish stuff. It's hard for me to pronounce. Let's see, about the. There you go. Someone has the mouth open. Everyone's trying to message me right now. People messaging me, apologies. Yes, technically this guy based off of probably a semi-real person. Hold on. He's basically semi-real. Probably based off of a real person, but the story here is probably not what actually. I took some liberties with the story too, but. So. I'm gonna see what time it is. It's getting a bit late. I didn't intend it to go this long. But oh, hello. Time for the big sleep for me. Excellent work today, Kronk. Will catch you on the flip flop. Thank you. Have a good night. And hello, Cool Crusaders. I'm coming close to being done, I think, only because of some busyness. So, this was a bit of a complicated page, to be fair. Had a lot to color. I had a lot to color here. That's a outline. Some weird reason. There we go. Hopefully, we'll get this done soon enough. Okay, it is getting a bit late for me too. I didn't quite finish my drawing, but that's okay. I think I'm gonna stop here for now. I've already put in quite a bit of progress. So, sorry you just got here, Cool Crusaders, but I do have some stuff to do too, and I didn't realize it was gonna take this long for me to finish my stuff. So, yeah. Apologies, but hey, we got quite a bit done. I got it all traced and everything. Okay, so, yeah, I know. I'm sorry. I got it all traced and everything though. And colored too for the most part. So I'm gonna call it quits for tonight. But thank you everybody for coming. I'll try to finish this page in private when I can. I'm just glad I put a dent in this because I haven't been working on my comic for a while, so it's a good thing I did. So catch y'all later. See ya.